This is our resume building presentation by the Career Development Center. And we have other presentations that we do as well. So if you like this presentation and want to see other presentations that we do, feel free to jump on Handshake to the events tab, and you'll be able to see all sorts of events that's going on the next couple weeks. So, but this is the resume building workshop. And I get asked all the time, why is resume a big deal? I'm just going to be applying for jobs, right? Well, actually, you're going to be asked for a resume for a lot of different things, whether it be for, career fairs, if you apply for research grants, if you apply for lab assistantships, fellowships, even applying to grad school, they're going to want your resume. So there's lots of different places and times for your resume. And it is a document that will follow with you pretty much your entire life, even after you retire. It's something to show what you've done, what you've accomplished, and you can use it quite often, and it's a forever changing document. So what it looks like today, it won't look the same in 3 years or 5 years. So just kind of keep that in mind. Resume is your first way to make the best impression on an employer, and it's something that you will carry with you for a very long time. Where to start? I have a lot of students that have never written a resume before, and you know what? It's okay. I tell students all the time, you don't come out of the womb knowing how to write a resume or to do interviews. It is both of them are learned skills. But the best way to really start your resume is to either get out your laptop or a pen and paper and just start writing down stuff about you. Just kind of brainstorm different skills that you have. And when I say skills, I'm not talking those soft skills like communication and teamwork and that kind of stuff. Those are important skills. Don't get me wrong, and they're skills that everybody should have. But the skills that an employer is looking for are specific skills that are going to set you apart from the people that are already applying. So when we talk skills, we're talking like computer programs. We're talking specific technology. We're talking if you have any other languages that you speak. Those are the type of skills that you kind of need to write down so you have an idea. Now, I also have a lot of students that say, well, as far as computer programs, are we talking like Word, Excel, PowerPoint? Are we talking like Python and C#? Well, actually both. Even if you just know Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, those are 3 computer programs that are still continue to be important. So don't think that those are minimal in any way. They are still important computer skills that you need to have. Also think about your academic background. Where did you go to school? When did you go to school? What did you major in? Those are the type of things you need to think about. Excuse me. Also think about your volunteer experience. Have you ever volunteered somewhere or helped somewhere? Write that down, when you did it, who you worked with, how long you did it, that type of thing. Also think about your work experience. Where did you work? Who did you work for? How long were you there? What type of work did you do on a daily basis? Now, I know a lot of students have, not necessarily had a professional career yet, so that's why you're going to college, right? But I will tell you that those, that babysitting, that fast food, restaurant, being a lifeguard, those are still really important jobs because they can show employers what type of skills that you have already. So don't think that they're, less than or anything like that. They can still be used. So go ahead, write those down. Write down what, from the moment you clocked in to the moment you clocked out, what you did, and just start your list going. And eventually you'll have a really good list of what needs to be put on a resume. You'll also need to think about internships. Did you ever do an internship? Is an internship something that you may want to do for your major? Also think about research projects, different activities that you were a part of, and this includes groups, clubs, organizations, that type of thing. Again, where you did it, what group it was, did you hold a title, how long were you a part of it? Also think about awards and accomplishments. This includes scholarships, this includes honor roll, those types of things. Get all that stuff written down, and by the time you have everything put together and everything thought out, you have a really good start to a resume. You just got to know how to put it together. Things you need to know about a resume while you're writing it, definitely try and keep it to 1 page. Now, Depending on your education and your work experience, you may have a resume that rolls into 2 pages. That's not a big deal, but as a typical college student, you're going to be looking at a 1-page resume. The information that you need to have on your resume needs to be in reverse chronological order. What that means is that it needs to start with the job that you currently have and work yourself backward. Make sure you target your resume to the employer and opportunity that you're seeking. What you need to do is, if you are applying for a job, look at that job description. See exactly what type of skills that they want you to have, what type of things you're going to be doing on the job. And if you've done those or have those skills, make sure you put that on your resume. Make sure it looks, so when an employer looks at your resume, they'll say, oh, well, they have this and this and this, which is exactly what we're looking for. That's a good thing. So make sure you kind of target your resume to the employer opportunity that you are seeking. Make sure you update your resume at least once a semester. You're going to be doing all sorts of different things while you're in college. You're going to be learning new things. You're going to be getting different awards. You're going to be being a part of different clubs and organizations. And so the more often you can update your resume, the better off you're going to be. Because once you start applying for jobs, if you have to think about something you did 6 months ago, you may or may not remember, or you may or may not have all of the information written down. So make sure you do keep that resume up to date and make sure to kind of look at things that have happened a while ago, things that are new, and kind of go from there. As far as your resume is concerned, this is a professional document, but make sure you do not include any personal information or pictures. When I say personal information, I'm talking like your social security number or your birth date or your age, that type of stuff. The only thing that should be on a resume is your name, your email and phone number that they can get a hold of you, your LinkedIn URL if you have one, and your address if you want. Anything else like that, that personal information that's easily stolen or easily used needs to stay off of your resume. And some other things to consider: do not lie on your resume. Now, there is a difference between flat out lying and forgetting a date. There's a difference between saying, yes, I worked for this company for 6 years when you never even worked there, compared to, well, I thought I started in May, but I actually started in June. Is that a big deal? That is completely different. So do not lie. They will find out, you will get caught. And the thing you have to remember is some companies have sister companies or father companies that they will, put your name out there as somebody who lied on a resume. Also, people talk to other people. If they find out that, during a golf game, they'll say, hey, did you hear about this kid that, said that they had worked for this company for 6 months? We found out they didn't. They talk to people. They, find out whether you're lying or not. So please don't lie on your resume. Another thing to remember is to avoid fancy formatting. I know the first thing a lot of students do when they're writing a resume is jump on Google. Everybody Googles. It's just the way it is. And some of those formats are really neat. I mean, they make sure to use a lot of color and they use a lot of different graphics and that kind of stuff, which is, like I said, very neat. But the thing you have to remember is you're going to be uploading this resume to a lot of different company websites. And sometimes those company websites are very, very particular on what they want uploaded. So if you use a fancy format or anything like that, if you upload it to a company's website, it can screw up that resume faster than anything. It can put sections where the section shouldn't be. It can move words to other pages, and it just makes you look very unprofessional. So that's why we encourage all students to do your resume on Word format only. Makes it easier. It's less of a headache and less of a heartache, I promise. Also, maintain consistency. Make sure that your resume, looks the same, words are the same, sounds the same, flows, that kind of thing. Make sure you also limit the use of bold, underline, and italics. There are certain sections of a resume where you can bold and underline and italic, but it's not very often because they are used to catch the eye. If you bold everything, it's going to make all the words run together. If you italicize everything, it's probably going to end up giving somebody a headache. So just make sure you use those sparingly and only to accentuate different words. Make sure you use clean and easy to read fonts. This is Arial, Calibri, Times New Roman. Those are the easy to read. But also, depending on what type of, Microsoft Office a company has, if you use a specific, font choice, it may not exist yet, so it won't look right to that company. So just make sure you use the basic, easy, clean, easy to read fonts, and you'll be good to go. Font size recommendations. 11-point font is the smallest font you should use on your resume, period. Anything smaller than that, it gets really hard to read. Stick to between your 11 and 12-point font, and then use about a 16-point font for your name, just so it stands out a little bit. Keep your margins to 1/2-inch margins, and also use bullet points instead of paragraph formatting. The reason we say this is because on average, employers look at resumes for the first time for 7 to 10 seconds. That's it. They look to see if it's easy to read, if the flow is good, if they can pick out your buzzwords. They are really looking for something very quick, very easy to read. If you put your information in paragraph format, they're going to look at it for about 2 seconds and put you in that pile of thanks but no thanks. That is not the pile you want to be in. You want to be in, this looks promising, we'll put them over here to look at a different time. So use 3 to 5 bullet points underneath each place of employment, so you can give them kind of examples of what you've done and what you've experienced. Do not use paragraph formatting. When you're talking about how long you've been at a company or how long you've done your community service or anything like that, make sure you include the month and the year, just so they have a good reference. Try not to repeat yourself. I know that if you've done, similar jobs, there's a lot of different ways that you can repeat yourself. Make sure that you try and make each of them look a little bit different. Try not to put the same thing over and over again, because it can get kind of boring to read. But also make sure you have your resume reviewed. Review it. Not once, not twice, but 4 or 5 times if you can. If you need somebody from the Career Development Center to look over your resume, feel free to contact us. We'd be happy to make an appointment for you so we can look it over. Have your, parent, significant other, whoever, make sure you have multiple people read it over, look it over, make sure that it looks right, make sure that you didn't have any typos and that you knew the difference between 2, 2, and 2 and all that kind of fun stuff. Because those things are easy to miss. Even in a professional setting, we have emails that are sent out to multiple people that everybody looks over before they're sent out. We make sure that any of our event flyers or anything are looked over by everybody. And, we have about 15 people in our office and everybody catches something different. So make sure that you have your resume reviewed before you turn it in. The number one reason that resumes are rejected is because of grammatical errors. So keep that in mind. Make sure you also use quality paper. If you are going somewhere and handing out your resume, make sure you get that resume paper. It is a little bit more expensive, but it's a nice linen paper that makes you look really professional. Cardstock is really too thick, too hard to handle, and then regular printer paper is usually pretty flimsy. This is kind of in the middle. It usually comes in an array of different colors. Try and stay within the white and light cream color. That's easiest to read, and plus it looks the most professional. There are different types of resumes. There are chronological, which is more about employment and what you've done as far as an employee. There's also functional, which is more about your skills and things that you've accomplished. And then there's the combination, which is the type of resumes that we use that focuses on your skills and your employment and things you've done outside of work and school. Now, as far as your resume is concerned, a lot of students ask, well, what should be on there and what shouldn't? Well, these are the sections that you should include, that everybody should include on their resume. Number one is your contact information. They need to know your name. They need to know how to get a hold of you. Like I said before, you need to have your email address and your phone number. And as far as your phone is concerned, make sure that you have your voicemail set up and that it is running, because they will leave messages. And also make sure your name is attached to your voicemail. Make sure that you put, hi, you've reached Sam, leave your name and number and I'll call you back. Make sure that they know that they've contacted the right person. As far as your email is concerned, make sure it is an email account that you check regularly. Make sure it's an email account that you always have access to. I encourage students that, I know that a lot of students really like to use their Chakra account, which is great, but after you graduate, that Chakra account is going to go away. So you really need to make sure that you have an email account that you can access even after you graduate. I encourage students to get on Gmail and just make an email account with your first name dot last name at gmail.com, so you know that no matter where you go, what happens, all of your information as far as looking for a job is listed there. You know where it's at, you know how to access it, you don't have to go digging around 14 different email accounts. You'll know that it's right there. Along with your contact information, if you do have a LinkedIn account, you can put the URL up there for them to look at. You can also put your address as well. The address is not really required, but it is something if you want to put on there, you definitely can. The second section is your education. Your education should definitely include your WSU information first, because that's where you're going to school. That should have your major, your minor, your GPA if you like, and your graduation date. Underneath your education, if you attended a previous school and got a degree, you can add that as well. So for example, say you're transferring from Cowley to WSU and you received your associate's degree from Cowley County. You can add Cowley County underneath WSU to show that you've obtained your associate's degree. Now, a lot of students ask questions about high school. The good rule of thumb is after your sophomore year, your high school information falls off. So if you are a freshman, it is still okay to put your high school information. As a sophomore, your high school information will fall off. The next you need to look at is your experience, and this is your employment experience. You need to start from your most current job and work yourself backward, letting the person know what your title was, where you worked, and what was required of you. From the moment you clocked in to the moment you clocked out, what did you do at your job? Use 3 to 5 bullet points to kind of explain that, and then move on to the next place of employment. The next thing you need to look at is your skills. And again, we kind of talked about skills before, and this needs to be your technology skills, your other languages, any technology that you're comfortable with. Those type of skills need to be listed. You also need to list any certifications. This includes CPR, Lean Six Sigma, anything like that. If you have certifications, you definitely need to list that on there. Activities, this includes your groups, clubs, organizations that you're a part of, whether you held a title or not, whether you were, just a member, you definitely need to put that on there as well. Awards and honors, this includes scholarships, honor roll, anything like that that has been given to you out of an honor or as an award, you can put on there in the awards and honors section. Optional sections are for students who need a little bit more information. And what I mean is we have some students at WSU who have never had a full-time job before or even a part-time job. And honestly, that's okay. We have a lot of students that just want to focus on school, and that's just kind of how it is. And that's not a big deal. What you can do is you can add things to your resume to make you, to kind of beef it up a little bit and to make you look good without actually having a job before. And part of this is adding things to your resume, such as these sections here. The summary can also be called subject matter, objective, personal statement. It's called a lot of different things. The summary is optional that you would put at the top of the resume, and it's just a couple of sentences about the type of person you are, what type of job you're looking for, and that kind of thing. But again, it is an optional section. The next section is called relevant coursework. In this section, I encourage students who are looking for an internship in their specific major area to add this to your resume, because what it can do is it can show an employer that even though you haven't necessarily worked in that area before, you do have the educational background within the area. And when I say relevant coursework, I'm not talking college algebra or English Comp 1. I'm talking specific courses within your major of study to help you set yourself apart. So for example, if you were a criminal justice student, you would put criminal law or criminology or DNA forensics, you know, those types of things. So specific classes within that area that make you kind of stand out. Another section you could add is relevant projects. If you did a project with work or with school or anything like that, you can add that project to your resume to show what you learned, what you accomplished, what the project was about, etc. The last optional section is your volunteer experience. And this includes volunteer experience, whether you helped out at the Lord's Diner or you were part of, WU's big event or anything like that. That volunteer experience can definitely be added if you have the room on your resume. This right here is an example of a resume that we give to students so they can kind of see exactly how the format should go. As you see at the top of the page here, we have the student's full name and their contact information. Here is where your professional summary would go if you have room and if you want one. This is one of those optional sections. The next section is your education, which is a requirement. You would put whether you have a bachelor's of science and arts in whatever major. You would also put a minor in here as well if you're getting a minor, where you're going to school, expected graduation date, and GPA if it's above a 3.0 or higher. Here we left the diploma on, and again, this is for students who are freshman, sophomore, but you would also, if you got like an associate's degree or a previous bachelor's or anything like that, it would go in between these two right here. And again, it would have what degree you got and then the month and the year of your graduation. Oh, sorry about that. The relevant coursework would be the next section here. This is where you would put those classes that you've taken that are relevant to your major. And then your relevant projects would go underneath it. Again, both of those are optional sections if you have room. Your job experience would go down here, and as you can see, it lists your job title, the name of the employer, the city and the state where you worked, the month and the year of when you started, and the month of the year when you left. If you are currently at this position, you can put current or still working, something like that. And then you have the 3 to 5 bullet points underneath that talks about what you've done with that specific job. Make sure you use current. Let's see, that's not the right way to say that. If it's a job you've had previously, make sure you use past tense words, worked, helped, developed. But if it's a current job, make sure you use present tense verbs. And then also, again, make sure you watch your spelling and grammar and all that. Your skills and certifications should be next. Whoop, there we go. Your skills and certifications should be next. And again, this should list your computer skills, your language other than English, and your industry-specific skills as well. Then your volunteer experience and activities and honors should also be down here. Okay. Okay, so we talked about, if you Google a resume, you'll find all sorts of different templates and all sorts of fun stuff that you could, pick from, choose from. But we talked about how that may cause a little bit of a headache. So we're here to help. We have 17 different resumes on our website that you can download for free. And we're going to go to that site in just a second. I'm going to have to stop my share and then re-share it. So just a second. Okay, this is a Career Development Center website that anybody, as long as you go to the wsu.wichita.edu website, you can find. We have 17 different types of resumes that you can utilize. Now, why do we have 17 different types of resumes? Well, because we understand that an accounting resume is going to look completely different from an education resume that's going to look completely different from a fine arts resume. And because of this, we want to be able to have students utilize all of their education and the skills and the things they've learned to make them look the best towards a future employer. So for example, as you can see, we have everything from accounting to business to education to fine arts. We even have a first-year college student resume that we hand out to freshmen. It's a very simple, basic resume, easy to follow. We're going to use this LAS internship resume as an example. All you have to do is click on it, open. Let me just make sure that this comes up for you guys. Okay, as you can see, it completely downloaded the resume to a Word document. You can save this directly to your computer, and then you can just go through and highlight whatever section you're on, and you can just type in your own information. So this way, you'll know exactly what to put where. You'll understand, where the sections are supposed to be, and it just really helps students who, are just wanting to get their information onto a document to get it that way. Again, this is for liberal arts and sciences, but we have resumes for engineering, business, health, education, you name it, they're up there. And they are, like I said, on our website. As you can see, this is LAS resume. It looks a little bit different than the resume example that we've shown, but they all look a little bit different in order to show the different skill set for each specific major. So that's what that looks like. I'm gonna go ahead and stop share real fast. And then go back to our presentation here. Okay. So if I know this right here has a really, really long URL to search, all you have to do is go to the www.wichita.edu, search resumes. About the third or fourth one down on that search, you're going to see resume templates, and you'll be able to find it from there. Really, really simple.